is Michael Rice, a.k.a. The Connector, and welcome to another edition of Connector Live TV, The Influencers, where we spotlight the voices shaping culture, community, and consciousness. Tonight, we are honored to sit down with a woman whose artistry is rooted in truth and her activism is rooted in love, Miss Nina Fletcher. From her days with Arpeggio Jazz Ensemble to a critically acclaimed solo debut CD, Courage, Nina has used music as a mirror, a megaphone, and a movement. But she's also a fierce advocate for Black women's rights. And she's the founder and visionary for Colors of Sound, LLC. So, welcome, Nina.
Wow. You make me sound so wow.
You are. If you're on this show, that means you're a very exceptional individual.
Mr. Michael Rice, you're an exceptional person, so I thank you for having me.
Thank you. Okay, well, we're going to jump right in this. Let's talk about your musical journey.
Oh.
Let's start with Courage.
Sure.
You produced and composed 12 of the 14 tracks. What personal truth did you have to confront or to release to bring this project to life?
That's right. I produced all of them except for one. And I think it was more the fact that I was seeing the changes in artistry, in particular the way Black women were perceived. And at the time, my daughter was very young, and I knew that she was musically astute. And I said, you know what? I'm not digging this. I'm really not digging the fact, that cosmetic surgery came to play such a huge part in the identity of Black women. And for years and years and years, we have fought wars with our hair textures. And music was one of our sanctuaries, one of our strongholds at one point. So me coming out of, say, the 1990s, where you had like the neo soul and you had like a plethora of Black complexions and, Black hair, natural hair of all textures was in. And then for me to see this coming about, I said, you know what? I had been in music for some time doing vocal arrangements and playing keys because I'm a pianist. That's my mode of writing. I said, I think it's time that I sort of get out there and do something for young Black women and for young children coming up.
Okay.
My time with Arpeggio Jazz Ensemble was excellent too with that because as you can remember, Warren Ory is or was an extremely Afrocentric type jazz composer and performer. So I'm grateful to have that experience.
How did that experience with them shape your musical identity?
Oh my goodness. Okay. So I had just had my daughter. And she was probably about 8 months old, and I went to a sit-in at the Ogon's Grill with a girlfriend of mine. And she said, well, if you want to sign in, you got to go up there, sign in, and, to sit in. I was like, okay, yeah, that's cool, whatever. So I went up there, and I sat in. I believe the song that I did was In a Sentimental Mood, right? And in true Warren Ory style, he picked it up on me. It was like, da, 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 So it wasn't the smooth, mellow thing that I was used to. It was picked up, and Afrocentricized, And I was digging it, fell right in and everything. And, afterwards, he gave me his card. And he said, hey, look, if you ever want to do some vocal work, you give me a call, although your voice needs some work. He says, truth is, I liked your approach. I like how you caught on, but your voice is thin and lifeless. I couldn't believe he said it. I said, okay. So
you're like 5 octaves.
But guess what? See, that's how you start. But when you're around robust, experienced musicians who encourage you along, you just simply get better. So as time went on, he was like, you know what? I dig you because not only do you sound different, but you write. So far, everything you've done for me is something you've written. You're a songwriter. And I said, yes, my whole family has been. So that was my brilliant introduction to arpeggio jazz ensemble. It was quite humble,
Okay, yeah, that
but I
sounds
can
humbling,
honestly
yeah.
say I grew as a vocalist. And also even some of my approaches to the music with
So
working with
how would you describe
arpeggio.
music? Because I get jazz, I see the storytelling, I feel the soul. But how? Tell me how you define your music.
Oh man, I'm definitely progressive jazz. Even before I had met Warren Ory and the Arpeggio Jazz Ensemble, my grandfather did jazz music. My mother was a jazz vocalist. My father was a jazz drummer, but he played Afro Caribbean rhythms. He played all types of rhythms. My uncle Chucky opened for quite a few of your Philadelphia groups. One of them, I believe, being Blue Magic and
Oh,
the
really?
Entourage. Yeah. So
And you
he
got
did
Uncle Chucky
soul
too.
music. So I mean, he did soul music. So
Mhm.
coming up, you had to uh, musically support
Mhm.
everyone who did each type of different, I would say, black musics is what I call them.
Okay.
So whether it was, soul, bebop, straight ahead, even classical, you know, R&B, um, you had to know how to support that particular family member. And if the lyrics were not what your elders approved of, because
Okay.
we were raised devout, um, we rewrote the lyrics. So there really wasn't too much that we didn't play.
Okay.
But there were a lot of lyrics
Yeah,
we
because
rewrote.
at one point jazz was considered the devil's music, right?
You know, see, you're speaking with someone who has a very different outlook on life. I'm
Okay.
sure the world says, "Hey, look, that's the devil's music." Michael, I believe all music is God's. All, A-L-L, all music is God's. Um, but it depends on what you do with it. What are you doing? What is the message that you're infusing? What is your intent? Right?
Okay.
I
Your intent.
mean, yeah, what's your intent? That's something I started to notice, and I don't know whether I'm going to get in trouble for saying this or not, but in a particular genre of music, in particular, I mean, it happens in all, but it bothered me for this one genre,
Hmm.
right? Where I started to notice all of the messages that were given to non-black listeners, right? Where I am a believer, I am invincible. With God on my side, I can do anything, right? Everything was positive and you're above the hill. You can do this. You can do this. You can do this. And then when it came to black listening audiences, right? It was you're a sinner. You need to repent, or your salvation is heaven
Mm.
after you die.
Okay.
And I said, this is some kind of way to sort of program people.
Hmm.
I mean, for black women in particular, I'm sinful until I die, right? And
Hmm.
then I get my reward after I'm dead.
Right.
But my counterparts in their music, it's totally different.
Mm.
It's, I have salvation. I can do anything. I can change my current circumstances. So I said, you know what? I think it's time for a couple of different styles of writings and
Hmm.
approaches to music. And being as I have experience in writing in most of the major types of music, right? Um, I said, let me give it a roar. I'm putting
So
courage out.
where does it come from? It comes from your memory. It comes from your imagination,
So
or you looking at some vision of something. What is your, where is the origin at?
It comes from, and I keep telling people, it comes from lived experiences and unique perspectives, especially when it comes to like the lyrics and stuff like that. The music itself comes from a very, very strong lineage of musicians.
Mm-hmm.
My great grandfather played 11 instruments.
11 instruments.
11, and there's a reason for that, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
think I explained
Yeah,
it one
yeah,
time before, but
yeah. Explain to
I'll
our
explain it
audience.
again. So basically, what happened was, way back when you have your great grandfather, that's like depression age, right? You weren't eating too much, but all the politicians wanted you to vote for them, right? So what would end up happening is, okay, I need a gig, right? So I would, as my grandfather, would show up to the gig with, say, a saxophone.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, ah, no, we looking for somebody who can play these drums or can do that trumpet. You hold it. I'll be right back. My family needs this money,
Mm-hmm.
right? Let me go get that trumpet. Let me go get them drumsticks. And I'm going to sit here and I'm auditioning for what you now need.
Okay.
So his idea of diversifying in the market was to absolutely learn more than one instrument so
Okay.
that he wouldn't lose a gig.
Okay.
He had like 9, 10 kids. That a gig lost is a mouth not fed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that, and of course gardening and stuff like that, because agriculture also came heavy through my family. But yeah, so through that, generations, how come you only know one instrument? How come you know only four? You
Right.
know?
Right. Wow. Wow.
So that was, yeah.
Well, tell me this, because I see that Courage got 5 stars from the Daily News. So tell me, how did you balance that? That I guess it must have. I know with myself, I would be just full of myself after that. And
Listen,
the I guess the external recognition or validation, and then the internal piece where, yeah, because it's is it like when you come out with your first CD? Isn't it like the graduation to say the validation that you're really on your way?
for me, believe it or not, it was sort of like a universal thank you.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many artists who, for their first album, go completely unsung. They don't even get a newspaper article
Right.
to acknowledge them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, the fact that I actually combined my artistry with community stewardship. I was going into the schools. I was talking to them about music and, other subjects. I was going into the women's shelters. I was even doing some block parties. I did some really cool block parties at West Oak Lane,
Mm-hmm.
Missioner Avenue. And, I think that it was sort of like an acknowledgement that said, thank you for your artistry and sharing that unique sense or that unique suffering of Black with us,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's akin, and thank you for combining it with community stewardship, because that's sort of like what that meant to me, and I was thankful to the Most High God for that.
So let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk about your advocacy,
Mhm.
Black women rights. Tell us about that. What prompted you, among the many things I know that prompt you, to go into and you founded an organization based upon that, or how does that work?
I did. So when I first started working with Colors of Sound, or thought of Colors of Sound, I said it's going to be project based. And I wanted a series of projects covering different areas that would assist Black women in the position in society they found themselves in. I started to figure out that whatever class you were in, class, right? Uh, we all had things that were the same, right? Very similar. But then in certain areas, right? And it still holds true today, even about 10, 15 years later. We get a lot of encouragement and we're told, oh, have faith, and stuff like that. Yes, the encouragement and the faith is important, but what is it that most other groups have that Black women struggle for and struggle with? And that is strategy and structure. Because you can sort of make it happen, like faith handles it all, right? I will say that. I'm a highly spiritual individual. God is it for me because I would not be sitting here if not for. Okay. But what was missing with Black women, because of the struggles in this country, was strategy and structure. Those things appeared for others. They had generational wealth
Okay.
with which they could strategize with. So, since a lot of Black women didn't have that generational wealth for one reason or another, the strategy had to be a little different and a little bit stronger to go along with the message to start making some things work.
Okay.
So I studied way back in 2015 financial behaviors. I studied. Um, it was um, it was sort of like a certified financial counseling, but it's not ACFP, right? That's a little bit different. That's an investment, stocks and bonds.
Okay.
I don't advise on that.
Okay.
Okay. Um, and nor am I here to represent anybody that I may work with
Okay.
to advise.
Okay.
I won't be advising today. But what I will say is that back then in 2015, I found it important for women to understand the psychology and the way money moved through their experience. And so while I'm promoting the album, I'm also promoting women's workshops to help them better understand their budgeting, their psychology, their money, and the fact that their health is their wealth and their emotional soundness is their bank.
That brings me to the next question that I have here. And that has to do with what one myth about Black womanhood that you have determined to dismantle?
What one
And
myth?
how does your art help that?
Uh, how about the whole, I'm not, the whole thing. How about that?
You saying there's one big myth about Black women?
Listen, I think, yeah, the whole persona, right? Um, I think that there are a lot of Black women who are proud of the way that they look. They're proud of their hair. They're proud of their skin. They're proud of the way that they present themselves, right? Um, it's the reception. So I was raised to say it's never because you're Black. It's because they are who they are. It is their mentality. So with that, I never really internalized the things that would make me sort of like shrink back and not do this, not do that. So yeah, from the floor up, I would change a lot of things. It's never because you were created the way that you were. So I
When
don't
did it
even
first
use the
occur to
term,
you that
it's
there's
because I'm Black. I don't use that term. It's because you're ignorant.
right? That's true. That's
I'm
true.
here to apparently to educate you because I'm just fine. you know, I'm here to, what is it, on the seventh day rest, but on the sixth day, everything was good.
I question what happened on the eighth day. You know what? We don't have enough time to explore. There's so many dimensions to you. So we're going to have to bring you back and talk more about that, especially the spiritual side. Now, Nina, your voice is a gift, and your mission is a call to action. Thank you for sharing your journey, your courage, and your vision with us tonight.
Listen, anytime, and next time I will get here so that we have more time. I thank you for even having the courage to present jazz music and just being who you are.
Okay. Well, to our viewers, remember, influence is not just about visibility, it's about impact. And Nina Fletcher is living proof. So stay connected, stay inspired, and keep building the revolution, one note, one voice, and one act at a time. Cut. Cut. Hello, this is Michael Rice, aka The Connector, with another edition of The Connector Live TV. This episode is The Influencers, and I have a special guest here, the legendary Sherri Pennington from WKDU FM 91.7.
That's right.
So, welcome, Sherri.
Thank you so much for having me today.
All right. Sherri, I've been following your career, and I see that you're doing a number of things from jazz festivals to you just had WKD, you just had a reunion, and you're that community person out there. So tell me how you came to be the host of Community Spotlight.
Okay, so we're going to go way back into time when I first entered Drexel University, and that was in the late 70s. And one of the things that attracted me to Drexel University was the radio station, WKDU, the Black Experience in Music in particular. How it happened, where I lived next door, I lived in a row house, and you could hear music blasting, especially on Sundays. And it was, my neighbors, we were both on the third floor, I remember. And it was like such a groove, such a groove. And I kept turning and turning until I got the same groove. I later heard the music. I heard about great things that were happening. They talked about Drexel's student organization that was putting on a fashion show and fashion modeling classes. Fashion Paces of Philadelphia, I'll never forget that. I signed up and had such a wonderful experience then, but the music continually, so I said, that does it. I'm going to Drexel as opposed to Temple. As soon as I entered Drexel, I joined the Black Experience in Music. I knew nothing about jazz, to be honest. So I would spend hours. And at the time, we had a record library with albums and albums. And I did research. And from there, I stayed at WKDU for years until I withdrew 3 years later. Fast forward to 2021. I failed to mention, back then we had anniversary celebrations, which drew crowds of hundreds and hundreds of people. WDAS actually fashioned their Unity Day after our event. And so when we came back in 21, there was an anniversary for WKDU, the station in general. It was the 50th anniversary. And I saw that on, I guess, online, one of those Facebook or something. And I said, well, are you going to bring the Black experience in for this? They said, we would love to, but we don't know how to reach them. I said, okay, I'm one of them, and I'll make that happen for you. So in 2021, I contacted the few members that I knew, and each one reached out to one. In the end, I had a contact of about 45 people across the country. And from there,
Wow.
we had a 24-hour marathon for the actual date of the anniversary, and everybody loved it so much. The Zoom calls, hey, how you doing? Hey, and wanted to get together. And I said, do y'all want to keep this moving? They said, yes. I said, I'm going to make that happen too. So I talked with the program director, and I've been back on the air since then, 2021. However, one of the things, I was just playing music. So it was always important to me, and the Black experience in music. We came up during the era of Blackness, unity in the community, always had positive messages and positive attendances at various events. AFCOM Learning Center was around, and it was those good old days. Gil Scott Heron was the man, the last poets. But all that seemed to have faded away as we reunited. And I didn't feel as though we were getting out the messages that we should for the community. So I proposed to do a program called Community Spotlight. And I said, I want a half hour. No, you don't need a half hour. No, you don't need a half hour. How about you do 15 minutes? I said, how about no? I do 30 minutes.
Right.
Is it only for you? I said, well, anybody else could rotate through and also use that time to do interviews. Nobody stepped up or volunteered to do that. So that's why I did it, how I did it, and I love doing it.
Okay, great. What kind of, I guess, personality traits do you have to have in order to do what you do?
I think you have to be able to negotiate with people. You have to be approachable. You have to be charismatic in order to, first of all, get your guests. You have to be one that engages and sparks interest in people so that they'll be interested enough in doing your show. So I think those are the qualities that you need. You should also be able to articulate clearly, be able to do research. And one of the things that I do is to promote it. I am involved in social media somewhat by putting it out there before each interview who's going to be in the program. So,
Okay. So what is your actual goal of Community Spotlight?
my goal is to be a resource to the community. I love connecting people. Similar to you, the connector, there's so many resources out here, and each one can teach one and grow from each other. So I just love putting people together and bringing things to their attention that they might not have been aware of and making their lives better in some sort of way. I mean, really, that's the joy that I get from doing it.
Okay, well, let's get deep.
Uh-oh.
Tell me one mistake that you made early in your career that actually became one of your greatest teachers. What's the strategy for that you used?
So I'm going to stick to radio right now and talk about a mistake that I made. I was too black, I guess. What I mean by that, back then, I remember it was 6:30 in the morning, and I was playing Whitey on the Moon. And what happened, the station manager came and he turned beet red. What are you playing? What are you playing? Whitey on the Moon. So now I went on, not only that, so he told me to get off the air right then. Subsequent to that, I played Minister Louis Farrakhan too, almost every week. So what I'm saying, in conjunction with those, I got suspended for about a month, but the Nation of Islam came down with briefcases in hand. We had meetings with the program manager, and I was restored back to the air. So I said, I guess what I learned in doing that was just be mindful. I could get the message out without necessarily having derogatory terms, no matter how true they were, but just to be more conscious and present the message in a different way. So
Sherri, is there anybody that was in your life that believed in you before you believed in yourself?
yes, I had family members that were very supportive, particularly my Aunt Yvonne. She was 10 years older than me, but she always took me around and encouraged me to read. I remember going to Kwanzaa celebrations when I was a teen, and she made sure to take me with her to those sort of things and just encouraged me. You're so smart. You're smart is what she kept saying. They encouraged me to go to the #1 school at the time, which was Philadelphia High School for Girls, because I kind of didn't want to go. I had been childhood friends all the way up. It was a cluster of us. Anyway, she said, do that. And I'm glad I went. I got a lot of diversity from doing that. So she just said, you could do this. You can be anything you want. Then you grow up and you kind of, I don't know, deviate somewhat, but that was always in the back of my mind. And do believe whatever you put your mind to, you can do it. So it came back.
Okay.
And I've been doing
Okay.
it.
So what was your major in college?
That's a long story, Michael. I
Your
started
major was a long story?
I started out in electrical engineering,
Okay.
and it was pretty heavy, just getting there. I had 5 courses I'll never forget. I'm like, what is thermodynamics? I'm taking physics, calculus, on the radio 2 o'clock in the morning, then going to the frat party the next night. So needless to say, my grades weren't the best, especially physics. I struggled through physics so much. So after failing physics 1 once, then I failed physics 2 once. Physics 3, I kind of passed it, but so I changed my major. I became commerce and engineering, which was like business and engineering, which wasn't so heavy on all of the sciences because my priorities got kind of mixed up. Doing the radio is what I really, really loved doing, and I sidetracked my major. So I actually withdrew from Drexel at one point for another reason.
Mm-hmm.
I went south.
Okay.
I moved to Savannah, Georgia, but then I came back 15 years later and said, just let me get a degree.
Mm-hmm.
What do I need to do to get a degree? So it was a concentration in computer science. So that's why I'm saying this is a long story,
Right.
what my major was.
Well, that's good because you overcame an obstacle and then you modified your approach.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to talk about on this program. We want to talk about how people who are being successful in their career, what techniques and what strategies they're using and what mindset that they have in order for them to deal with the challenges of life.
All right.
Oh, yes. If you could go back in time, like to one crucial conversation, what would you change in your approach? And why does it matter for how you connect with people now?
If I could go back to one crucial conversation.
And I guess it may have been a conversation where you were in conflict and you realized, oh, I got to modify my approach.
Okay. Well, let me think. Recently, I was a part of a jazz committee, a jazz festival committee. It was the annual one, and
In Philadelphia?
in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Actually, I won't tell you what area. However, the main curator, I'll say, we worked together well for quite a bit. And I supposedly had no strings attached in terms of micromanaging. And I got so excited as I was given a title of marketing and PR director. And I brought several good suggestions and implemented several things to give visibility and get certain many interviews. And it just got to be a little contentious after a while. I was told, you should have done this. You should have introduced me. I felt like I was working with a diva.
Okay.
And, it was very condescending to me.
So it was woman to woman. It was
Yeah,
woman to
that's
woman.
what it was. I thought it was sister to sister, but,
Sister to sister.
the sister was a different kind of sister for me. And what I did, I kind of changed my tone and accepted things that I normally would not have. And then it got to a point where I started battling verbally, nothing real negative or anything like that. And to be honest, I don't know that I would change that because it pushed me to that point that took me off my square.
Okay.
And I don't think I would have changed that. So I answered your question, but I didn't answer it the way you wanted me to because it just revealed things about me that I don't have to accept this.
So looking at the outcome, would you still have gone into that initiative or still have dealt with that person?
No, I won't do it again. I can tell you that. The initiative I was all for because it was the first, and it was jazz, and now I love jazz, and I wanted to be part of something big, and make the community enjoy themselves and hear all of that. But it was a volunteer position too, mind you. So no, I definitely would not at least work with that particular person again.
So what would you say is the lesson that you got from that?
I guess you need to get to know people a little better, do some research on them, or not only that, maybe I should have had in writing, what are your expectations? Because there were none. And then one of the moves I made, all of a sudden, it was an issue. And I'm like, well, I've been doing this. And it was, well, you need to tell me what you think your role is. Well, I think you should have told me or tell me what my role is as a volunteer. So I think going forward, in especially any type of position, I need to have definition and some boundaries as to what the expectations are so that we both can be on the same page. So that's what you have to do.
Oh, okay. Think of a problem that kept you awake for nights or for weeks. Take us through your thought process from that initial worry to the breakthrough moment.
And we're going back to this exact same subject.
Okay.
It kept me up at night because my feelings were hurt, to be honest. I went above and beyond with the connections that I made for this person who are milking it to this day. I mean, which is a smart thing. They had some great connections thanks to me. And, I was proud of myself because that's not something that I had done in the past. So I researched it. I put out press releases. I contacted newspapers. TV showed up. Got venues for setup and all of that. Changed the website. I did a lot. And for them not to respect that, I just couldn't believe. I said, well, I need to have a conversation, but I was given an ultimatum to write down what you think it is. And I was scolded like a child. I'm a grown woman. So that kept me up how to deal with this. And I thought, can we rectify this? And then I finally said, nah, can't do it. So it bothered me for quite a while. And then I just said, things start happening that karma is, as they say, it's a bitch. It is. So then you start seeing things and you say, So I really didn't have to do anything because retribution found its way into that scenario.
You said retribution?
Retribution. So anyway, so that was something that really bothered me, and stuff hasn't bothered me like that in a long time.
Okay. That's interesting. I found that sometimes when I'm in a conflict with somebody, that I have to put myself in their shoes, so I can understand where they're coming from. And it may not be they're in a positive state, they may have felt threatened by you. I mean, you have such credentials and you're so dynamic. I mean, you are the legendary Sherri Pennington. And that could be intimidating to someone.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So sometimes you got to ease into it. A lot of times when I was dealing with people, with my higher-ups, I would make sure that they felt supported. I always mention their name in conversations.
Yes.
I always bring them. I said, the only reason I'm here is because of that person.
Right.
So sometimes that helps.
And that was always the position. I was just the marketing person putting them out there in the forefront and letting them get the shine as they should have. That wasn't my program, but my job was to make them special. So that's what was so confusing to me. So I did all that I knew how to do, and I tried to put myself in their place. And some people's shoes you just can't fit.
True. That's true. So tell me, Sherri, what's ahead for the legendary Sherri Pennington?
Can I promote my show?
Yes, you can. Let's hear about you.
Okay. So I'm having a show coming up at the Community Education Center, and this is going to be one of many. I just started a company called SPX Productions, which is Sherri Pennington Productions, and I am proud and happy to say that the first show will be a tribute to a man that I've loved all my life, is Mr. Brother Gil Scott Heron.
Gil Scott Heron.
Gil Scott Heron. So I wish This was in our constraints of time, but trust me, we're
Hmm.
going to bring them back again. Hopefully, it'll get well supported. So, just doing different types of special experiences like that, whether it's music, whether it's a I did a panel discussion. As you know, you were a part of my wonderful panel. We did uplifting and protecting our youth, and I had such an awesome panel. And the response and feedback was really good to that. So I would like to maybe conduct some more types of panels or work somewhere in TV or
Okay, matter of fact, I'm gonna see if I have some clips from that panel that we
okay.
can add in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, what advice would you have for someone trying to pursue a career, trying to do the kind of things that you want to do, that you are doing, rather?
So I would just there's a lot that goes on, especially in the city of Philadelphia. Whole lot of stuff. So I learned about some of it through friends, Facebook, I guess now what is it, Instagram and TikTok or whatever. Read the local papers and just frequent different avenues and support groups. There's a lot of free things that go on where you can just learn a lot. Like you have several connector programs, I believe. Those sort of networking events is what I think you should expose yourself to. Networking, because you never know who you're going to meet, or it depends on what you really want out of life. What is your purpose? What are your goals? And there's a group out there for you to go to, so get involved in the groups. And they can start from teenage on up, or even, junior high schools. So
That's great advice. That's great advice, especially when you're talking to the connector about
this is
networking.
true. Well, it's the
Right.
truth. It's the truth.
Right. So, final words. Final words for this interview. What would you like to say to your audience or to your potential audience?
So I would just like to say that we need to come together, people. We need to stay in peace, be in peace. We have to learn to work together. These are some serious trying times between the gun violence, the rising prices of things, the freaking administration. It's so much mental illness as a result of all these things that are surrounding us. So I suggest you find some higher being that you need to pray to and get serious about it. Learn to love your family. We have to work together. Maybe do bartering and stuff. It's getting ready to get rougher.
Hmm.
So I'm just asking for everybody to pray for peace and be kind to people. You never know what a person is going through.
This edition is called The Influencers, where we spotlight individuals within the community who are doing amazing things. Today we have Miss Yves Marie Desir. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Let me get it right. And she's the founder of My Arts, My Desires Traditional Arts, and also the founders of Crayons for Haiti. Okay? And I'm here with my co-host, the legendary Sherri Pennington.
Good day.
All
Welcome.
right. So, Eve, welcome. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Okay. And you're doing some amazing things. I've known Eve for years, and I know within the community, she's probably an icon within her community, and especially in the areas of dance. I see you on social media all the time. That's one of my favorite programs on social media is seeing Eve do her dance, and it's always positive. She also got a blog too. You got a blog as well. I know she's always saying some positive things, and which I really appreciate. So tell me, how did you happen to get involved as you is? Wait a minute. Let's start with your origins, right? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Privilege of working as a community advocate in different areas of assistance, such as sexual assault prevention with the war. Also, I had the privilege of working with out-of-school programming with AFAHO, with the after-school youth program. I've had the privilege of working with Akana and their out-of-school programming with their youth program. And now I've had the privilege of starting my own out-of-school programming organization, which is Crayons for Haiti, where we are I want to say global because we've had the privilege of doing programming here in Philadelphia, as well as in Maryland, as well as in New York, and as well as in Haiti. So hopefully we'll get to expand and do more. Our programming offers arts and crafts programming, STEAM programming, kite making with Tête Poivre Soleil, as well as Aka Dance, which is with me, where I teach Afro-Caribbean healing dances to youth and women. I usually take youth between 12 and 21 years old, and we do adult women. I haven't done any men's classes, but mostly it's to encourage positive self-esteem in our community. We also do empowerment workshops in self-esteem. So we do a lot of arts and crafts activities that have to do with building self-esteem. We talk about body and autonomy and healthy relationships and how a youth can protect themselves by knowing that their voice has power and that their no means no. I just came back from Dominican Republic, so I've had the privilege of doing this programming not only in English, but in Haitian Creole and in Spanish. Even though I needed a translator for some of the words, we still had the opportunity to do it.
But you speak fluent French, right?
I speak fluent French and I speak fluent Haitian Creole.
I love her answer machine when I.
Okay.
Yes, I was trying to accommodate all the languages that call me. I've had the privilege of being a community advocate for Black immigrant communities, such as Caribbean immigrants, as well as African immigrants. As me, myself, I am part of that community. So my goal is to build bridges between communities so that we can highlight what we have in common and build bridges with what we have different so that we can be stronger together.
That was a mouthful plus. You're a busy woman, and I love all of the activities and organizations that you are a part of. Wow. Well, let's ask about the Crayons for Haiti. Tell us about that.
Okay. Crayons for Haiti. We founded Crayons for Haiti in 2015 officially, but we actually started. Sorry about that. Okay, Crayons for Haiti actually started in 2013, but we got everything registered by 2015. We started because there was an earthquake in Haiti in 2012 where it was a lot of destruction that happened in Haiti. Well, when the children were going back to school, we noticed that people was playing soccer with one, like children were playing soccer with one shoe. You know what I mean? Like they were sitting on bricks to do homework and stuff like that. It was very sad.
Wow.
So then we decided the first collection was while I was working at the school district where we collected school supplies and toiletries and what have you to have them shipped. There was an issue with that, so we had to start over in 2014. Our first group trip was 2015, where we actually partnered with Loving Hands Kindergarten. There was a school in Carrefour that we actually went with the supplies and distributed to their schools and stuff like that. We did that back and forth for about from 2014 to like 2019, and then there was a little bit of tension in the Port-au-Prince area because that's where we were. We were in Port-au-Prince and we were in the Jacmel area, which is the capital and the southern part of Haiti. And so we were very grateful to partner with La Kulakai Cultural Arts Center in Milo, Haiti, which is actually located in the northern part of Haiti. We met him 2019, and we've been doing programming with them ever since. Our last trip to Haiti was 2023. We're very proud to say that we were able to conduct a STEAM workshop, kite making with Tête Poivre Soleil, and we were also able to do a knowledge of self workshop with B4U Theater on that trip. Yes, it was great. We had over 85 students. Wow. We gave away over 250 goodie bags. We had help from the whole community. Like Africans helped us, Caribbean people helped us, Black American helped us. Everybody came together to make that trip possible because it was a lot going on that trip. Unfortunately, due to the instability of the security over there, we were unable to go this particular year. However, we are still working towards supporting and providing advocacy for Haitian immigrants here in the United States, especially Philadelphia. So we're open to communicate with all organizations that want to help Haitian people so that we can kind of build a bridge so that we can help each other.
Okay.
So that's the basic thing with Crayons for Haiti. We do offer programming. So if anybody is interested in programming, please reach out to me. We do one-time workshops. We do 6-week workshops. We work throughout the school year. And we do offer the kite workshops in schools and organizations. As long as you're willing to go, we're willing to teach. Just call.
Okay.
So what type of programming? What do you mean by that?
Okay, the programming that we offer are workshops in different areas of self-esteem and
Okay.
character development. So that would include STEAM workshops, that's kite making with Tête
Okay.
Poivre Soleil, dance workshops, that's Afro-Caribbean healing dance workshops with me, Yves Marie, and there's the performing arts workshop with Before Youth Theater, where the students have the opportunity to write scripts, and then we perform them either using the puppets or themselves.
Thank you. I was thinking computers,
I haven't reached there yet.
computer
Hopefully soon.
programming.
Okay. All right. Well, you're also the founder of My Desires Traditional Arts. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. Well, I am also an artist, and so my first art is dance, of course. However, I'm a crafter. And because I'm a crafter, one thing that I notice about Haitian culture is due to the instability of our situation in Haiti, a lot of our artists that carry the traditional art of our country, they're being dispersed all over the world but Haiti. So what I like to do is I like to promote that art, the traditional art. So I promote traditional art through paintings, crafts, and sculptures. So I have 3 artists for which I represent. One is Tête Poivre Soleil with Poivre Arts and Tirasta LLC. He does contemporary Haitian art along with graphic design, outfits, and fashion and that kind of thing. And then I have Dieu fait la misère with Paillette Creole, and he does sequence art. That is very beautiful. If you go on my page, you will see all of it. He does sequence art with the traditional voodoo art, traditional culture of Haiti. And then there's me, of course. I make magic mirrors, where mine is more having to do with crafts, where I decorate mirrors. I make body jewelry, waist beads, body beads, ankle beads. Anywhere you want decorated, Yves Marie can bead you up. And so that's what I do. And I also promote artists. I have one artist in Haiti. His name is Nozias, Shop Nozias, and what he does is carvings. So the mahogany sticks, walking sticks, masks, and things of that matter. The Taino art, which is the rock art, and then the metal art. So these are the types of art that I offer. Of course, we do voodoo art. I'll go and get the govies for you. Maracas, cha-chas, asons, all of that. I make them. You get the gourd. I will beat it for you.
So where can people view your products? How can they reach
Okay.
out to you for your
Okay.
information?
So I am very active on social media, Crayons for Haiti. You can find that page on Facebook. Just look up Crayons for Haiti.
Right.
But if you look up my name, Yves Marie Desir, then you'll get all 3 of my pages on Facebook. I have a page for Crayons for Haiti Incorporated, which is the programming. I also have a page, My Desires Traditional Arts, and that's for all the crafts and arts that we offer. The dance is overflowing between all 3 of those pages. Yves Marie Desir is me, of course. All of it is on there. I'm also on TikTok and on Instagram as My Desires Arts. So all of our...
What a powerful conversation. And if you're like me, you're walking away with fresh insights, renewed inspiration, and a deeper appreciation for the kind of authentic connections that truly move our communities forward. But don't let the inspiration stop right there. If you're ready to take your networking, leadership, and personal growth to the next level, I've got two transformational resources that will help you do just that. First, Be Magnificent, Exceed Your Expectations. This book is the blueprint for unlocking the greatness within you. No fluff, just real strategies to elevate your mindset and your mission. And then there's Urban Networking, the essential guide for the urban professional. This isn't just a book. It's a movement. It's packed with practical tools, real-life examples, and proven techniques that will help you build meaningful relationships that open doors and create lasting impact. So you can grab your copies and learn more about my work and even connect with me personally for coaching, speaking engagements, or collaboration. Just head on over to www.michaelwrightspeaks.com. That's www.michaelwrightspeaks.com. So whether you're building a brand, you're leading a team, or mentoring youth, or simply trying to grow into your best self, you don't have to do it alone. Let's build together. Thank you for joining us tonight on the Connector Live TV, The Influencers. And until next time, stay magnificent, stay connected, and keep exceeding your expectations.